Hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. We are here again. We just were live. Was it yesterday or was it Friday? I feel like it was Friday. We were live Friday discussing The Ones Who Live, The Walking Dead spinoff series that just ended. If you haven't, make sure you check that one out. And today we will be doing a little double feature review discussion of the two movies Parallel and Double Blind. And I can't remember if I put it on this channel or on my Pretty Girls Love Horror channel, but if you saw my video from last year on my most anticipated movies of 2024, Double Blind and Parallel were both on that list. And I feel like this has been a pretty slow year for me personally when it comes to movies, like new release movies. I haven't seen a lot of new release movies this year for multiple reasons. For one, I personally feel like it's been a pretty slow start to the year when it comes to new movies. I haven't really been interested in much. And also because, as most of you know, I just moved from Florida to Tennessee. For the first time, well, since I was really little, I'm not living in Jayville. And for the first time ever in my life, I'm not living in the same place as my mother. And that's my movie buddy. And so, I'm like, I don't have anyone to, go to the movies with. And it just doesn't feel as fun to not have my buddy. So it's been a pretty slow year for me with new releases. But I did recently check out my one of my anticipated movies, which was Parallel and Double Blind. I was really hyped for Parallel when I first heard about it last year. Number one, I'm hyped to see Black folks in sci-fi. We really don't get stories like that. And I was excited for Double Blind, though I will say I went into Double Blind thinking it was one thing and it was something else. And speaking of, when I was like, I don't know which channel I put that video on, I'm probably going to just take all my content from my Pretty Girls Love Horror channel and just re-upload it over here. And because I can't do two channels. I tried because I love horror and I was going to just put it all in one place. But yeah, I can't try to do two channels. It's not working. So I'm going to take all my content from over there. I'm just going to re-upload it over here. And then going forward, everything will just continue to be over here. Tried it, didn't work, didn't like it. So that's where we are right now. So let's see. We are discussing Double Blind and Parallel today. And I need to get my mind right because I was just listening to Beyonce Renaissance album. And it's like cocaine. Now, music is cocaine. I can't get it out of my head. I was listening to Cowboy Carter earlier, and then just now I took a shower and stuff, and I was listening to Renaissance. And am I the only person that has to listen to music while in the shower? I feel like I can't take a shower if I don't play music, but that's stuck in my head. So let me get Beyonce music out my head and get the dang movies in my head. But that be, you know what, maybe I'll do a separate live to talk about Beyonce album because I have some thoughts. But anyway, we are discussing Double Blind and Parallel today, and we are going to start with Parallel. Parallel was the one I was most excited for I was excited to see both of these, honestly. And when I say excited, I don't mean like I had high hopes. Y'all already know I love a mediocre ass movie, so it's not that I thought these movies were going to be, great, but I was anticipating them. I was looking forward to them. So Parallel is a sci-fi, follows the journey of Vanessa, a grief-stricken woman who mysteriously finds herself navigating between parallel spaces. And it's pretty much the kind of typical, story we get like this. And one thing I will give them props on is it's a very small budget movie. We pretty much only have three actors: Vanessa, her husband Alex, and his brother Martel. They are vacationing at this their family cabin, and mom Alex and Vanessa are currently grieving the loss of their son who recently died. And we have basically just two settings, which is the woods and the cabin. But I had a lot of issues with the actual story. So we're at Alex and Martel's family cabin, where we get into discussions about their dad and how he lost his mind and he was obsessed with finding something out there. Not really explained. And they talk about how experiments were done out in these woods. And you end the movie, and I'm kind of like, okay, what experiments were done? What was going on? What was happening? And is this whole parallel universe that we find in the woods, is that a result of the experiments, or was that already here and the experiments were being done because we found that here? So I feel like that wasn't necessarily very clear. Something else I didn't care for was the dialogue. I don't know what's going on. The dialogue in the movies I've been seeing this year is been a struggle. The dialogue felt really unnatural. There's a scene where Alex and Martel are talking about, the son that passed away, and he's a little kid. And they go to be like, oh, well, what would he say? And apparently their son would say, I'm tough, I'm bright. I don't have muscles, but I'm not afraid, I'll be all right. Like something like, and I'm like, what the hell kid says that? Like, come on now, child. What child says that? Like, I don't know. It's just, it wasn't working for me. I felt like it was really bad writing. That was very cringy. And then we get into a moment where Vanessa goes out into the woods. And first of all, she's so unlikable. Like, I get it, you're grieving your son, but the way she was treating her husband, who was just trying to like be there for her, who also is grieving. And that's something that I didn't like. The focus tends to be on Vanessa when the all three of them are together, but I'm like, you're not the only one grieving. You're not the only one who lost this kid. Like Martel and Alex lost their son and their nephew. Like, they're grieving as well. More importantly, your husband, who is the other parent, he's grieving, but it seemed to only be centered on her grief. Like that, it just makes her character kind of unlikable for me. Not very many redeeming qualities. The actress is great though. The actress that played Vanessa is really good. I thought the acting all around was fine enough. But once she goes out into the woods, she has this experience where she sees a double of herself shoot at her. So she shoots back. She comes in the house. She's kind of weirded out, but she doesn't say anything. And then there's a moment where she goes into the kitchen, and you can almost off the bat for me tell that it's not her real husband. I'm like, okay, this is the double. The brother is the double. Just the whole demeanor of her husband was very different. His whole attitude and everything, it just did not feel like him. But what didn't make any sense to me story-wise is she goes to sleep in the house, wakes up, the double is there. There's a moment where she's outside and she starts to get fired up. Like I said, not a very another moment where she doesn't come across as a likable character, but her brother-in-law burns his hand. She goes into the house. She runs across the brother-in-law, but it's obviously him from another parallel universe. The burn has healed. And I also feel like, if I remember correctly, the burn was on a different hand. But it wasn't making sense to me, because once she goes out into the forest later and she runs into the alternate Alex that she kind of does some plan and stuff with, you have to walk through different places in this forest to get to certain alternate universes. So it wasn't making sense for me why, when I was still in the same cabin, supposedly in my same universe, why did I come across parallel Alex and Martel? Like, I didn't understand that. I felt like the rest of the movie, she had to actually walk to their universe in order to come into contact with them. So that kind of wasn't adding up for me. The movie was kind of dull, and it's not even, I finished the movie, but it's one of those movies where you pretty much know where it's going to go. And then we have a moment that also didn't make sense for me where Vanessa goes to a different parallel universe, and in this parallel universe, oh wait, sorry, it wasn't one of the parallel universes. She found her original universe. However, a parallel Vanessa had got here first, the one she shot at, shot back at, who shot at her. And the husband knocks her over the head, ties her up. He done went off the deep end, losing his mind, trying to shoot her. And he's telling his brother, talking about, how can you believe in stuff that don't exist? And I'm sitting here like, but two of your wife is sitting in front of you, one dead, one alive. So what are you talking about believing in stuff that don't exist? Because his brother was more so open to believing about the parallel and all the stuff that their dad believed in. But it didn't make any sense that Alex in this version was dead set on killing her. I could get maybe, but no, I can't get that either. I was finna say I could get maybe not believing this is your wife because there was another wife that you just killed that wasn't her. But if that one ain't her, maybe this one is. But it just also didn't make sense that Alex wasn't even giving her a chance and kept kind of putting Martell's stuff to the side, like, well, you're believing in stuff that don't exist. But literally, it's right before your eyes. There are two of your wife, one that you already killed, and then another one. So what do you mean I'm believe? It just didn't make sense to me. Like, I get, like, if we're in the real world, because obviously in the movie world, it's the real world and this stuff don't exist. But in the real world, in the regular realm, if I see two of a person, I'm gonna start kind of believing something like, okay, well, I guess something real crazy going on there. You know what I mean? Like, it just would stand to reason. The proof is right here in front of you. So even though that was her real universe, the other parallel her that made them go off the deep end, and everything goes to hell in that universe. So she goes back out into the woods. And while she's in the woods, she comes across an alternate Alex who is looking for his wife, and they're both trying to figure out how to get back to their regular universe. So they make a little plan together. They have a kiss because he missed his wife. This is his wife, but it ain't his wife. It's a parallel wife, but he still want to kiss her because he missed his wife. So I guess he'll just take the parallel wife. And of course, at the end of the movie, it goes where you expect it to go. Vanessa just so happens to find the perfect universe where it just so happened it ain't another her. Like, what the hell the her is from that universe, who knows? But she just so happens to find a perfect universe where her son is alive. Really, the entire movie feels like stepping in a puddle and having to spend the entire day walking around in wet socks. Like, that's how the movie feels. It's the typical parallel universe, multi-universe sci-fi story, but honestly, it feels very I really want to say dumbed down. Like, it doesn't even need to be intricate. It doesn't need to be 12 monkeys, but it feels everything is so obvious. I feel like as a viewer, you're 10 steps ahead of what the hell the movie is going before it even gets there. But I will say, I do think they did well with a low budget, with only 3 actors, with only 2 locations. And that's something I didn't like. There was no difference in the parallel universes in setting and location, only in how the actors had to come across. And that didn't make sense to me. You mean to tell me in every parallel universe, we on vacation at this cabin? Like, that didn't make no sense to me. Like, wait, what? I didn't buy that. That didn't make any sense. Like in Butterfly Effect, stuff would change. We'd be in different parallel, and we'd be all kind of different places. But in this movie, every single parallel universe, we just so happen to be on vacation at this cabin, because this isn't where they live. It's not like they're at home. They're at the vacation cabin. And that's something else I didn't like when I just brought up Butterfly Effect. It's just a lot of watching people stand around talking. The dialogue in the story isn't, because I'm perfectly fine with a one setting movie. I know a lot of people don't like that, but the story and everything, it is nowhere near entertaining enough to hold up. We just in this forest and we just in this cabin. Nice forest, nice cabin, but not for like 90 minutes. Like, I wasn't buying that. And I said the lead, Vanessa, the actress, perfectly capable. She's great. But the character just wasn't likable. I really didn't care what happened to her. I cared more about the original husband. Like, I cared more about him. And just to, at the end, it just, everything was very, it was pretty convenient that the moment Alex steals another universe, he kills his parallel Alex and he wants that universe. And he gives Vanessa a chance to say, hey, I'm about to blow up the entry here so nobody can come mess with this parallel universe I found. Nobody can come behind me. You better go find you a parallel universe to jump in. She just so happened to conveniently jump into the perfect alternate parallel universe where her son is alive and she gets the good version of her husband again. Because in every version, he was different. She spent the movie going to different parallel universes, and in different, they was all crazy and all kind of stuff going on in one parallel universe. Her brother-in-law Martell, I think, killed her and her husband, or killed the nephew, something like that. But you mean to tell me at the moment alternate Alex is about to blow up the entrance, she just so happens to at that time find the perfect parallel universe. And the alternate Alex told her he had been searching all the parallel universes for one where his son existed. And in every parallel universe, the son died in one shape, way, or another. So you mean to tell me he been doing all that searching and she just blows up and well, she didn't blow up, but as he's finna blow the entrance, she just so happens to find a parallel universe where her son exists. Come on, man. Come on, man. The ending was just very cookie cutter, wrapped with the bow. Like, of course she gets to get a universe where her son is alive, which for me, that's the least exciting place for the story to go. Because and I get it, people grieve differently, but the way she was treating her husband, who also is grieving, who also lost his son, like, how dare you tell me I can't say my son's name? Like, come on, man. I don't know, her attitude and the way she treated him. There's a moment when he tries to like hold her hand. He's nothing but patient and kind and understanding. And so when we get to where she has to lose him and he dies, I feel like she don't get to get her son and everything perfect in the end, because yes, you lost your son. Yes, that's devastating, but you still have your husband and you didn't care to appreciate what you still had. So for me, she should have ended up in the effed up parallel universe where she didn't get her son or her husband, because that was the result of your actions. You didn't, not losing a son was the result of her actions, but losing a husband. Like, you didn't appreciate what you had. You don't get to have it. I don't know. I just feel like we took it in just the most lame direction it could go in. Hey, Danny. Hey, Nikki, I think I've seen at least one promo for Parallel, and that's it. Didn't even know it came out already. Yeah, you ain't missed much. Also thought it would be a series, but you just mentioned the low budget, so that explains it. Yeah, I don't think it was ever going to be a series. I think it was always a movie. But yeah, and honestly, the low budget is the least of why I didn't like this movie. I honestly think they did pretty well with their budget. I really do. It's just we needed a better writer. I wouldn't know who to trust and might just leave everybody in that cabin after seeing myself shooting at me. Yeah, but they did have a good little thing they threw in there when she meets alternate Alex, who has been trying to find his wife in a parallel universe where his son is alive. And he says he has this experiment and he leaves her. And you are thinking, well, how the hell you gonna know when you run into this Alex? They did have this little secret code that they would say to each other. And there was a good moment where she runs into an Alex and she goes to say the code and he don't know what she's talking about. So they did put something in where like you kind of know who you're dealing with, but and I kind of feel like if I saw myself shoot myself, she came home and I think she like went by her husband and took a damn nap. Like, I would have came in that house like, my nigga, I just saw myself. Like, I don't know. But, whatever. Too convenient and blow up with what? Yeah, I don't know. What did homie have? I think he had dynamite. And I honestly can't remember if there's an explanation for where the hell he got dynamite from. Because in all these parallel universes, they don't go nowhere but the same damn cabin. So I don't know. But wait a minute. There was a scene where her and Alex go to the cabin together to try to get some kind of, I don't know what the hell he got that dynamite, child. But yeah, he throws it up with dynamite. You all of a sudden have explosive with you. Weird way the movie ended. She appears to not even try to heal or accept the loss, no matter how terrible or sad. She doesn't. And that's something else where I feel like the writing just kind of dropped the ball. Is there no lesson for us to learn? Like, there's a moment where, who was she talking to? I can't remember if she was talking to her alternate version of herself or if she was talking to alternate Alex, but there's a moment where she doesn't let anybody say the kid's name. She flips out when the uncle is like, the kid would have really loved staying out here at this cabin. Like, why can't I remember my nephew? So there's a moment where she's having a conversation and they're saying how not saying the kid's name is pretty much keeping her kind of stuck in her grief. She's not able to heal or move on. She's staying stuck. So when you get to the end of the movie and it's just like, voila, you get your kid back. Like, is there nothing, like, when you have the basic structure of any story, is there supposed to be some type of character arc? Your character isn't supposed to end the same way they started. There's something the character is supposed to go through, learn, come out the other side, child. She literally ends the same way she started. And they ended where, like I said, there was a scene where her husband tries to like hold her hand and she just take her hand away. Now, when the movie ends and she gets this perfect universe, he goes to grab her hand and she holds his hand. But no, that don't make no sense. Like, how she got from A to B. Like, she doesn't learn anything. There's nothing. The movie makes no stance or says nothing to the audience about grief, about parallel universes, about like second chances, like nothing. Why did we make the movie? But I don't think it was terrible. I would give Parallel a solid 3 out of 10. I'm sorry. 3.5 out of 10. The woods were nice. A solid 3.5 out of 10. And it's one of those movies where for me, it's not even worth the watch. And like I said, I love a mediocre movie. I can enjoy a really mediocre movie. I love a B movie. I love a low budget movie, but there is really nothing to gain from Parallel. There's and I really don't look, shout out to Black folk in sci-fi. Okay, I'm gonna always get behind that because we don't get enough of those stories, but Parallel ain't the one. Now, our next movie is Double Blind, which I was really looking forward to. And I was all wrong about Double Blind. There is a movie that Julianne Moore played in way back in the day where there was this disease that went around that was making people blind. They didn't know what was happening, and they all end up in this facility and they get locked in. And that's what I thought this movie was, because y'all know I don't be watching previews. I thought this movie was kind of along the lines of that. Like, I knew it had something to do with an experimental drug in this one, but I thought we were going to be locked in this facility and we were going to be blind. That's not what happened. After an experimental drug trial goes awry, the test subjects face a terrifying side effect. And the side effect is not blindness, to my surprise, as I was watching the movie. If you fall asleep, you die. Trapped in an isolated facility, panic ensues as they try to escape and somehow stay awake. I actually feel like this movie was actually pretty damn good. And it was some good stuff here. Now, hold on now, child. It's mediocre, okay? But there's some good stuff here. And I feel like this plays out a lot better than Parallel. Like, it's still obvious where everything is going to go, but it's just laid out in a way more entertaining way. And even though this is also one setting, which is why this was a good double feature. This is also one setting, but they do a lot better having different things to draw your attention and focus on, and the characters together are a lot better. Pretty much our main character is Claire, Dr. Burke, and Amir. Now, what I didn't like though is there's no real build up to where the story ends up going. As far as, it literally feels sinister from the beginning. Like, it feels weird off top. So it's kind of like it's just sinister for no reason. Like, we shouldn't start the story where it's like, oh, something up with this trial. Oh, something up. I didn't like that. Like, let us kind of ponder, like, wait a minute. Is the doctor doing something shady? Is the company doing something shady? I don't know. For me, that's a little more entertaining flow for the story, is to have the audience kind of be like, well, wait, can we trust her? I don't want to go in knowing who I can trust and who I can't trust. I don't know. I don't like that. So they end up getting this. Oh, and this is the lady we just saw in The Ones Who Live, which I don't know why the hell she was in this movie. It was very pointless. But we end up having, the doctor isn't the sinister one. The company keeps telling her, oh, keep pushing them and keep doing this, and let's just see what happens. And she's all like, worried about the kids and stuff like that. But honestly, it didn't make any sense, because as a doctor, you're the one facilitating and giving them the drugs. And if you feel like something isn't right, then don't goddamn do it. So anyway, she goes to tell them, hey, we're changing things around. Let's see how long you can stay awake. Nobody fall asleep. The first girl who falls asleep and dies, y'all, it ain't make no sense. Baby was on the floor dying for a good 5 minutes with Claire screaming. The doctor, no medical staff, nobody came over. That didn't make no goddamn sense. None. What the hell is the medical staff? If it's dangerous and we're supposed to stay awake and can't fall asleep, there should be somebody right there monitoring us the entire time. The doctor's so far away, the girl dying, and we screaming for 5 minutes and she don't come to the end, and we screaming and yelling and the girl dying and no other medical staff comes. That just wasn't logical for me. If I'm doing a trial, wouldn't it be more than just a damn doctor? And then what also didn't make any sense is we have Amir, who is a medical student, right? And he, for some reason, feel like something ain't right, and he want to go sneak into the doctor's office, Dr. Burke's office, and look through her stuff. There was really nothing to lead him to do that. Like, I kind of feel like, ain't that also like illegal? Like, you're looking at other people's medical stuff, you're dipping into the trial. Now, nothing happened that would push him to go that drastic. I could see going to the doctor and being like, I got some concerns, something don't seem right. But to just jump to, I'm about to go try to look at confidential files, I'm sorry, for me, that didn't make no sense. But it's one of those things where it don't ruin the movie. It just is what it is. You're watching a little, mediocre movie. But there's a security thing in place at a facility where it immediately locks down. Now, this ain't make no goddamn sense. And this is why I say, why the hell they got this good ass actress in here playing Dr. Burke, just wasting her talent and her life? The place go to start locking down. And you know how it be when stuff locks down and the doors start to close. Y'all, why the hell this lady risk her life frantically run? I thought they was about to get killed like in that first Resident Evil movie where the room locked down and the damn laser shot out. She running like lethal gas is about to leak through this place. She gets killed by the door that closes. Y'all, the only thing that happens during lockdown is the doors stay locked until the clock runs out. You gotta survive 24 hours. That don't make no sense that this doctor, this educated person who worked for the company and should know lockdown procedures, risk her life and dies trying to run out of this place when all she would have had to do was sit around and wait for the doors to open in 24 hours. That was come on now, child. That was so stupid. That was so stupid. And narratively, it just don't even make sense to kill the doctor off right at the beginning. And that's something else I feel like would have worked better with the story. We should have, when we were locked in here, it should not have only been the trial patients. It should have been Dr. Burke and at least two medical staff that was locked in here with them. I don't understand. Like it just didn't make no sense. When we find out that all we got to do is wait for the clock to run out, I was like, girl, why the hell you get yourself killed when all you had to do was sit in here with all these supplies, everything fully stocked up. All you had to do was damn sit in here. The way they had that lady run, I thought something lethal was finna happen. Nope, just gotta sit here and let the clock run out. You could sleep, Dr. Burke. Like, you're okay. Why you trying to run out makes no sense. Now, what also didn't make any sense is these damn brain slides we looking at. Somehow Amir look at brain scans and he know everything. This is another reason we shouldn't have killed the doctor off. Because it don't make sense how we had Amir come to all the conclusions that he came to. Now, on the plus side, now, and I'm saying all this stuff, but honestly, I enjoyed the movie. But, I got to nitpick these things. But on the positive side, the movie has some nice visuals. Everything looked good. All the actors were capable enough. I feel like, is Double Blind great? No. But it's a lot better than Parallel. And it's an entertaining enough way to kill time. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. I actually enjoyed it. And I watched it twice, actually. That's how much I enjoyed it. I ain't rewatched Parallel, child. Probably never will. But I will say I wish Double Blind leaned more into like a darker horror feel, especially when we're dealing with like drug trials, sinister company. I don't know. I just felt like I personally wanted, and maybe I'm just morbid, but I personally wanted a more darker tone to the movie. Now, I do like, they have a really good, what I thought was a really good sequence. We have one of the patients locked in. It's this girl from a super religious home. And she leaves home because she, went through all that stuff. And there's a sequence where, y'all, this ain't make no sense. So we losing our minds. We can't sleep. And since Amir know everything conveniently, which don't make no sense, we start to suspect that he worked for the company and he planted in here. So one of the guys and a religious girl comes up with the bright idea to shoot him with a tranquilizer because they don't believe he really took the drug. And I'm sitting here like, baby, that's the dumbest thing in the world. So if you hit him with the tranquilizer, this the religious girl, and he died, that means he was telling the truth. Come on, like that was the dumbest plan. But honestly, y'all sleep deprived and you losing your mind, so I'm gonna let that slide. But that was the dumbest motherfucking plan. Like, I gotta die to prove to you that I was telling the truth. But they got a really good sequence where she goes to administer the tranquilizer to kill him, but she doesn't realize she fell asleep. So I like how they did like the what's real, what's not, what's reality. The way they did it in that sequence, I actually felt like was really good. And like I said, from the title, I thought they was going to be blind. But I think the double blind more refers to them being blind to like the company and what was actually being tested on them and this drug and all this stuff. But I felt like with this one, in comparing it to Parallel, I was a lot more invested in these characters, what was going to happen. And honestly, I don't particularly like any of these characters, but I don't particularly dislike them either. They're just a good bunch of characters that we're following, and I was interested to see how everything will play out for everyone. And it held my attention. When I was watching Parallel, child, like I always say, if you get up to go get something to drink or get a snack and you don't pause the movie, you really don't care. Child, I was doing all kind of stuff when I was watching Parallel. I just didn't care enough. But I stuck through it and I finished it. But I feel like with Double Blind, I was a lot more interested. It kept my attention a lot better. And like I said, I watched it twice. I watched it for the first time. Then a few days later, I watched it again because I actually kind of enjoyed this movie. But I don't want to hype it up. I like mediocre. I love the movie Anaconda from the 90s, and people hate that movie. Like, that's the kind of movie viewer I am. I can appreciate if there's some type of entertainment value for me, then I can like it. What didn't make sense to me, even though the visuals were nice, is that Amir kept having delusions and seeing the dead Dr. Burke. And I get it. He had a certain amount of guilt that he felt because he triggered the lockdown, which, oh, that's the devil that in that old girl, the religious girl, ends up seeing when it's her time to die. But I get he had a certain amount of guilt because he triggered the lockdown, which got the doctor killed. But him seeing a doctor, it wasn't working for me because when it comes to Claire and her delusions, it was personal. She was seeing her mom. It was personal to her life. And I just felt like Amir's delusion should have been more personal. The religious girl was seeing the devil and religious stuff. Like, that's the background and the family she grew up in, even though it was like abusive religious family. I just felt like his delusion should have been more hitting closer to home. But if you like mediocre, entertaining enough little thriller horror movie, then, and don't think too much about it. Everything ain't gonna make sense. But I think it's actually pretty freaking good. And I love an evil corporation story, but we don't really get much of that side. It pretty much just focuses on the kids locked inside of the building. Now, what didn't make any sense is at the end, Amir kind of snaps and goes crazy and tries to kill everyone that's left. And oh, I forgot to say what was really good when we get to the scene when he's trying to kill them. The only people left is Claire and another guy. And Claire ended up busting through this wall and finding this secret room. And we think we found the elevator to get out. When Amir is chasing her and the guy to try to kill them, old boy closes and locks the door to just be like, F her, I'm finna just go survive on my own. He goes into what he thinks is the elevator, but this is actually an autopsy room, and it's the what's that thing called where you burn the bodies and cremate the bodies? Damn it, I can't think, but that's what it was. Like an incinerator, not an elevator. So he pushes the button on the outside thinking it's an elevator, and then he gets in and the doors close and he burns up. But good scene, but logically it kind of made no sense. Because before I press the button on the outside, in the elevator, I'd have never heard of buttons is on the inside of the elevator, child. So if I go look and I don't see no buttons on the inside, I'll be like, well, hold on, what is this? I'm not finna just press the button on the outside and lock my black ass in there. Like, but of course he didn't know he was like locking himself in there to die. But this also doesn't make any sense. So he goes in there, he burns up, and we end up, the clock runs out and the door opens, right? And this team comes in, and Amir is like, am I hallucinating? Are y'all real? They pull out a gun and they kill Amir. They take all the dead bodies, put them in body bags. Claire is able to hide in one of the body bags, pretending like she's dead. We put them in a van and we drive off. This don't make no sense. Y'all got all the stuff in here. Y'all got a whole crematorium in this mug. Why y'all don't just throw the bodies in there and burn them up? Where it just doesn't make any sense. Why transport the bodies? Transport them where? You got everything you need to do an autopsy, to test the bodies, to cremate the bodies right here in this facility. So why are we taking the bodies anywhere? It just didn't make any sense. I don't understand. And then Claire goes to zip herself out of the bag while we're driving in the van. Why they swerve and crash? And I literally replayed the scene about 5 times because I was like, what made them crash? Like, it's no other car on the road. They're literally just on the road and then they just swerve and crash. And I'm like, it literally looks like they just swerved and crashed. Like, what did you swerve? Like, I don't know if I'm tripping because I swear to God, I rewind. I saw that scene over and over again like 5 times. And I still do not understand why or how they crashed the damn van. And it ain't like she came up out the bag and startled the driver. The passenger sees her in the rear view and the driver swerves and we crash. I don't know why the hell we crashed. It didn't make no sense. And then what also don't make any sense is Claire's able to get to the hospital and she's in a coma. And simultaneously, we're seeing the news where the company is talking about how Dr. Burke was just doing a role thing. It had nothing to do with the company. Why leave a loose end? Why leave Claire alive? Who the hell got her to the damn hospital? Like, that don't make no sense. A company like this would not leave no loose ends. I love a mind playing tricks on you type of scenario. I personally think it's the scariest scenario when you talk about horror movies, because not being able to trust yourself, like, I'd rather fight other stuff. I don't want to fight my own damn mind. So I think that's a great idea, but I think we could have did a lot better with the fact that they were so sleep deprived and were kind of like hallucinating and losing their mind. There's a really cool scene where, and that's something else. Like I said, it's a good movie, but just like Parallel, you can see where everything goes before it gets there. There's nothing surprising happens. There's a point where one of the guys is talking to Claire, and he's telling them like, "Oh, you'll be surprised what you can do when you have to." And I'm like, "Child, he's gonna die." Like, the second he says that, you know, like, everything is so foreshadow. Like, it's just like, we know where it's all going. But he had one of the best hallucination scenes where he goes to the bathroom, he goes to wash his hands, he turns the water on, but he can't hear anything. Then he turns the water off and he hears the water. He like knocks on the window, he doesn't hear anything. Then 5 seconds later, he hears a knock. Like, it was really cool how they were doing that, but it's like they should have done a lot better, in my opinion, mixing the whole, I don't know what's real, I'm sleep deprived, my brain is kind of like shutting down. I feel like we could have did a lot better with that. And we could have done a lot better in portraying it to the audience so that the audience doesn't know what's real. Anytime something happens in the movie, you know it's a hallucination and you know it's not real. And I feel like it's a lot more effective if you play those mind tricks on the audience, if the audience doesn't know what's real and what's not. But we have these lab rats in the movie. It's lab rats at the top of the movie, and then there's a moment in the movie, a few moments in the movie where we are interacting with the lab rats. Poor little rats, just getting tested on. They don't come into play in any shape, way, or form. I feel like it was kind of pointless. I thought why do we keep mentioning and coming back to these lab rats if it's not going to go anywhere? I don't know. I don't. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, I feel like if you have a movie and we keep kind of calling to something, it's because it's going to pop up later. It's going to mean something. Something's going to happen with that. Like, why you keep showing me this? Showing me this for what? It didn't make no sense. It didn't make no sense. But overall, I actually really like this. I like the Double Blind miles above Parallel. And I forgot to say, when I was saying how you know everything before it's going to happen, another moment is Amir writes a note confessing that he triggered the lockdown. Claire comes in and he hands her the note. He confesses everything in the note he just wrote, but then he verbally confesses to her. And you literally, as the audience, know somebody gonna find this note. It's gonna come up later, because it's literally so illogical to write a note and then verbally tell me everything. Why the hell you wrote the note if you gonna tell me what the hell is a note? That don't make no goddamn sense. So of course it pops up later in the movie where the guy I told y'all was making a plan with the religious girl. He finds the note. Like, the movie did a lot of things like that where it's like, first of all, it don't make no sense to do this. But second of all, you're giving everything away to the audience so that we know what's going to happen before it happens. Like, that could have been a good moment when we all find out that you're the reason we're locked in here. But y'all had him write a dumbass note. Like, it made no sense. And then he goes to tell everybody, don't take no uppers or anything like that, because like you'll crash. We're trying to stay awake. So they end up finding an empty pill bottle of the uppers in his things. And he's like, well, no, I threw them away. I flushed the pills just to be safe. That don't make any logical sense. Why didn't I just throw the damn pill bottle away when I flushed the pills? Why would the pill bottle of pills I threw away be in my things? Because that's exactly how it was found. Oh boy, it's like, we found the bottle in your things. Like, it was a lot of little stuff like that in the movie that just didn't make any sense at all. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like, you can't think too much about it, even though I'm sitting here thinking too much into it. But I'm one of those people, even if stuff don't make sense and I'm kind of nitpicking it, I can still enjoy it. Like, it wasn't the type of things that ruins the viewing experience. For me personally, it didn't ruin the viewing experience. Like, I still was able to really enjoy it. So Double Blind was definitely the better half of this double feature. And I would give Double Blind a solid 5 out of 10. I feel like it is an average, enjoyable, entertaining, solid little like thriller horror movie. It's definitely on like a lot better than Parallel. I was so disappointed in Parallel. I don't even know why did I even finish that movie, because I'd be so quick to turn the movie off and not finish it. I think I just wanted to support Black people in sci-fi because we don't get those stories. So I just, and plus I spent, you know what? That's why I finished the movie, because I spent my damn money on it. That's why. Because if I pay to see a movie, baby, I'm going to finish it. Like, it got to really be horrible for me to not finish the damn movie. So Double Blind is definitely the best part. I would actually recommend watching Double Blind. I would not recommend watching Parallel, but hey, watch at your own risk, child. Okay, let's see what comments we have. One thing about me, I love my sleep. I lose in a minute. I actually feel like I can stay up for a long ass time, because I got a lot of experience in my early 20s going to party and hang out and not going to sleep and just going to work the next morning. Like, I think I could actually stay awake for the whole, how long? They were already awake for some time, and then they had to stay awake for 24 hours before they got locked out. I feel like I would have been good. Like, I really do. I really feel like I'm one of those people. I can really stay up. I can stay awake. Still wouldn't trust that clock after the first girl died. I'd be paranoid as F. Only 24 hours now. What's next after that? Well, the first girl died before the lockdown. She died because she fell asleep. And if you fall asleep, you die. So the girl dying and them being locked in there, that was two separate things. But that is what made the situation real, because the doctor told them, oh, we're just changing the experiment. We want to see how long you can stay awake. She ain't say it's dangerous for you to fall asleep. So when old girl is the first to die, that's when like it becomes real. Like, oh, we in this mode, like our life is at stake. If I were Claire, I'd be like, karma, baby. Karma, wait, hold on. Karma for what? Well, who got some karma? Hey, Samantha, I love a mind game type of movie too. Yes. I really feel like, me personally, man, you could give me a mass killer. You can give me vampires. You can give me all ghosts. Well, hold on. No, not ghosts. I don't want to play with nothing supernatural. But you can give me a lot of things on horror to face. But the one thing I don't want to have to face is fighting my own mind. Like, at least if I'm fighting a vampire or a mass killer, I know what's real. I know my enemy. But when you're facing your mind, I don't like that. Like, I really feel like that's the scariest scenario. If you can't trust your mind. If you can't trust your mind and you can't trust what you see and hear, that's scary. But no, not Ghost Child. I spoke a little too soon when I said ghost, because I don't play with no ghosts. They explained it away and distanced themselves from the case. Nobody will believe Claire, who is definitely going to be institutionalized. But I still feel like that's a loose end. She was there. Whether people believe her or not, if I'm the company and I'm all powerful like this, I don't even want you out there. Like, because if that's the case, why kill everybody once the door is open? We could have just left, blamed it on Dr. Burke, and not killed whoever was left. I just feel like it makes no sense to kill all the survivors except Claire. Like, now, if we don't kill no survivors, then yeah. But we can't kill all the survivors except Claire. What the hell? You left her alive for, but you killed Amir. Some people believe she crazy, but I wouldn't even want the story out there. Maybe it was symbolism. Did anything happen to the rats as each person died? Nope, nothing happened to the rats as each person died. And the only type of little symbolism they put in is Claire has a conversation with the first girl who died, talking about wanting to set the rats free. And they go to say, well, I bet you if you like let them out, they probably just go right back on in there because at least they have someplace safe and someone taking care of them. And so later in the movie, we see the rats again when we're locked in, and Claire goes to try to set the rat free, and he kind of step out a little bit, sniff, but he go back in there. She's like, "Oh, that's what I thought. Like you would. I'd rather be she would, because that's her whole thing. Is she has nowhere to go. She has nowhere to stay. She's estranged from her mother who is abusive, and she's all like, well, I'd rather be a lab rat because at least I have somebody looking over, taking care of me, and I have a roof over my head. So that's the only little symbolism they threw in, but it still ain't make no damn sense to have these motherfucking lab rats. I don't know. I don't know if I was expecting them to like be like them dogs in Resident Evil, but I just feel like if we were testing on the rats and we kept focusing on the rats, how come nothing happened with the rats? And the rats seem very normal to me. They seem like I thought y'all was testing on these rats. They seem like normal rats. But speaking of rats, randomly I was reading some misconceptions about rats, and it was very interesting. It was saying how like rats are like very compassionate and they share and help other animals. I was like, what the hell? Rats got bad PR because rats got some real bad PR because everything I was reading in that with the misconception about rats, I was like, rats sound very nice. Gaslighting to the fullest, and if I were in this situation, I would be pissed off and turn everyone against him. Who made you leader? If people want to take uppers, let them divide it up even. You know what, Danny? I am 100% with you. I never understand when I see movies like this why we all have to make the same decision. Now, I can see if it's a decision that will affect everyone, but like when we see movies and one person is like, I'm going to go this way. No, you'll die if you go that way. So what? Let them go that way and die. Like, now I'll give you a warning. I'll say, look, as a medical student, I know that if you take these uppers, your body is going to crash and it won't keep you up. You'll go to sleep. But once I give you that warning, baby, you grown and you can make whatever decision you want to make. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. If you want to take it, take it. I done gave you the warning. Didn't the guy who got burnt up leave Claire and locked her out trying to escape out her? Yes, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. But it's a good thing he did that because Claire would have got burnt up. Rats have bad because I feel like people just hate rats. Like people always talk like really. I actually really hate. It's so crazy because I was just watching. What is that movie that Quentin Tarantino did with the Nazis and stuff? And old boy is talking about rats, and he has this little speech about rats. And like, hey, if a rat never did nothing to you, but if a rat scurried into your house, like you would like try to kill him or something. And he goes to say, well, squirrels are actually just like rats. And I actually have always hated squirrels. I don't have no problem with no rat now. I don't want no rat in my house, not child. They can live free out in the world. But I am so disgusted. Anytime I'm outside, I do not like to look at. Have you ever looked at a squirrel in their face? One time I was at work and a squirrel ran up on the little patio like 2 feet in front of me. Squirrels are so creepy and disgusting looking. I guess I won't say hate. I hate squirrels. I'm gonna just say hate. But people always have really negative things about rats. Like I was talking to someone. It was like this whole little, not talking to person, but like online. It was this whole thread where somebody was trying to get rid of rats in their attic, and somebody told them to get this little sticky stuff. And somebody chimed in and was like, no, that's really inhumane. There's a humane way to trap the rat and get them out of your house. Don't use the sticky paper. And a lot of people were like, no, rats are, they're going to give you a disease. Rats are going to chew and they're going to destroy. Like people just like rats are not an animal that people like really love. Like people love zebras. People don't love rats. So that's why I'm like, rats got bad PR. Because when I was reading this thing telling us the misconception of rats, I'm like, rats are actually really sweet. They're really nice and they're compassionate and they do things for other animals and they share their food. But you don't hear that stuff. So that's why I'm like, rats got bad PR. See? Because they have bad PR. When squirrels get wet, they look like rats. I hate squirrels. Wet, dry, high, low, I don't care. I do not like squirrels. I do not like squirrels at all. But that is our two movies that I watched for our double feature. And to sum it up, I gave Parallel a 3.5 out of 10, and I gave Double Blind a 5 out of 10. And now we are going to come right back and we are going to do our next live where I go over everything I watched in the month of March. We halfway through April, but I'm just now getting to my everything I watched in March. And I ain't gonna do like okay, so when we did our live talking about The Walking Dead Friday, I said I was gonna come back in like 30 minutes to do this live. Y'all, I was like, hell no. It ain't happened. But I ain't gonna do that this time. I'm literally finna stay my black ass in right here and I'm finna start the next live for that one. Okay. I'm not gonna flake. So make sure y'all turn up for the next one and thank you for showing up for this one.